All right, ladies and gentlemen. Breaking news now, right? This is all coming out here as we go along, which I'm a victim of this myself. So, the mortgage loans and the scams and all the fraud that they've been doing. Uh, yeah, it's true. And how they did it was they either wrote something up, like my situation, I bought a double wide trailer off of my aunt. She was passing away, right? So she didn't want the house no more. She ended up selling it to me. Well, I had a problem, right? Uh, the loan was wrote up. I took the loan out. Uh, I signed a bunch of papers. At this time, I did have a disability, but I wasn't uh, evaluated. I wasn't on disability. I had a job. Uh, I was going to work each day, right? So, anyways, I did the closing on the house. I signed all the paperwork, right? They said, well, you'll have to wait. We'll send you copies of the paperwork, right? So I waited, got the paperwork. When I got the paperwork back, it was some kind of, it was like I got two sets of paperwork back. One was a balloon mortgage, and the other one was some other kind of mortgage, right? Which I thought was a fixed mortgage, but it was really crazy, right? And when I got the stuff back, when I got it back, there was a will connected to it with my aunt, right? Which I thought was kind of crazy because I already purchased the house from her before she passed away, right? She was living in the house, and I was uh, uh, making payments and living somewhere else, right? This was before uh, I got on disability. Well, once I got the paperwork back, uh, I went through the paperwork and I didn't understand it, right? So I didn't pay any attention to it. Well, after so long, my rent went up, and I called and I'm like, "What is going on? Right? How come my rent's going up? I'm uh, not too bright. Can you explain this to me? Right? I don't have lawyers and all this crap. You know." And they were like, "Well, you have a balloon mortgage," and I'm like, "Well, I thought this was supposed to be a fixed mortgage." And they were like, "No, we can't do that. You have to pay on this for so long, and then you can go and get refinanced to a fixed mortgage." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, but this paperwork I have here, this was supposed to be a fixed mortgage loan." And that's when the trouble started. And they were like, "Oh no, it's a balloon mortgage." And I'm like, "Balloon mortgage, what does that mean?" And they're like, "Well, every year, or every so many, I don't know how what it was, I forget now, it's been so long, your rent goes up for the first 4 years or something like that, or it was something crazy like that." And I was like, "Well, I can't afford this. There's no way. I mean, if you're going to keep raising my rent, I'm already I'm paying child support. I told the people that were doing the loan, it can't be a balloon. It can't be anything that you're talking. It's got to be the same payment, yada, yada, yada." Right. And then, "Oh, yeah, don't worry about it. Sign it." So I signed the paperwork. Right. You're the homeowner. Here's the check or whatever. And, this is your house now, and here's the payments. And I never looked to see anything. I didn't know it was a balloon mortgage till they raised my rent. Well, my mortgage. And that's when I found out, what the heck's going on here? And they're like, well, don't you have paperwork? I'm like, yeah, but I got paperwork I signed, but the paperwork you sent is two totally different stuff. I don't understand what's going on. And they're like, well, don't worry about it. Just pay on it for this long. And then we'll refinance you to a fixed mortgage. So I agreed to that. I said, all right, man. I'm an idiot. I don't know anything about this, but well, I couldn't do it no more. It just kept going up, going up, going up. Child support payments, everything that was going on. I couldn't do it no more. I snapped. I went crazy. Well, actually, I was dying, but I didn't know that because I had an exploded gallbladder. But I had no idea. I had gallstones all clogged up in me everywhere, and gallbladder that swelled up and pinhole prick and stuff squirting. And it was horrible. So I finally denied payment. I'm not paying this no more. This is crazy. You're crazy. This is not right. I told the people that I signed with, I'm on an income, right? I can only afford this much, right? And then they were like, well, try and refinance it. And I was like, all right. So I started calling around, right? Started calling around, trying to get information of what was going on, trying to track my mortgage down. As I was doing that, my problem happened, and I almost died. I had to go into the hospital for a while. I needed a major operation. Two of them, two major operations, uh, or three. I was scoped a couple times, and then they had to cut me open. Uh, I was in the hospital for 2 days, and they booted. They were like, "You can go home." It's like, what? They're like, you can go home. So I went home and I started working on this again with this thing. Well, at that time, uh, I went nuts. I'm not gonna lie, I went crazy. I lost it. They came, picked me up, uh, had me reevaluated. They said I had mental problems. They explained that, were you ever in an accident or anything? And I was like, well, when I was younger, I was in an accident, you know. Uh, and then it came, well, this is wrong with you, this is wrong with you. And I'm like, well, I always knew that. And they're like, well, how long has it been like this? And I'm like, well, my accident was like when I was 13 or something, or 12. Uh, I fell like 4 stories and split my head wide open and busted a bone in my back. And they were like, holy crap. My brain was all messed up, my scans and everything. Meanwhile, I'm trying to keep hold of my house. I can't pay for it no more. I stop payment. I contact a mortgage company. I tell them my problems. I show them my paperwork. And the guy said, you're screwed. And I said, what? He said, you're screwed. It's a balloon mortgage and you're going to have to pay for it. I showed him other paperwork. I'm like, well, this is what I signed. It's supposed to be a fixed mortgage, 30-year fixed mortgage. And he's like, holy crap. Hey, he's looking at it. Right? So I'm like, what paperwork is real? Because they said I signed this at closing, but they were going to send me paperwork. This is what I got. Is this an old mortgage or is it a new mortgage? So he started looking into it. I started calling the banks that held my mortgage. I'd call a bank. They'd say, yes, we had your mortgage, but we sold it. It was in a mortgage bundle. And I said, well, now what? He said, we sold it to these people. Call them. So I called them. I said, listen, I own a home with you guys. It's a double wide trailer on an acre and a half of land. Uh, and I need to refinance it. And they got me into some balloon mortgage, and I can't do it, man. I didn't know it was a balloon mortgage. And he said, well, they got you. And I was like, what do you mean they got me? He's like, they got you. You're in it. You got to pay for it. You got to make the payments or they're going to repossess the house or you'll default on the loan. And I said, but these are the papers that I signed. It's supposed to be a 30-year mortgage. Fixed. No swingable, adjustable, no nothing. Right? And he's like, well, I don't know. This is a mess. So he said, continue to call and find out who's holding the loan. So I ended up finally getting a hold of these people. They said, well, Chovia Bank bought your loan. It was in a package of 250 or 400 something. I don't know if it was 4,000 or two mortgages. These places will sell your mortgage to another place, another mortgage company or another bank, and it just bounces all around. And I was like, you got to be effing kidding me. So I called Wachovia. I said, you guys are a holder of a mortgage that I possess right now, and it's a balloon mortgage. I can't pay for it. I'm trying to refinance it. So they're like, oh, try and find someone to refinance it. Well, I called numerous places. They're like, we can't refinance it. I'm like, why? It's too old of a trailer. Anything older than 12 years old, you're not going to find anybody to refinance it. And I'm like, but it's a great trailer. When was it built? And they're like, oh, it was built back in this date. And they had the title and everything. And they were like, but we just, you're going to have to try and find someone to mortgage it. And every place I called said, no, it's too old of a trailer. And although it's worth this amount and it's in good condition, you take care of it. But we just don't loan on trailers anymore like that. And they actually said, well, didn't they tell you that when you bought the house? And I'm like, no, they didn't tell me anything about after so many years, if your trailer's, after this old, if it becomes this old, you're probably not going to find anybody to refinance you on it because it's too old of a trailer. Even though it's a double wide with 3 bedrooms and a jacuzzi tub and all that shit, they didn't care. Pre-manufactured trailer home, and the banks, it's a risk to them. So I called Wachovia back and I said, there ain't nobody even going to touch it. Nobody's going to even want to refinance it. It's too old of a trailer that they call a pre-house trailer or whatever it is, on a slab, on a foundation. And they won't refinance it. Nobody will. And then you know what the guy from Wachovia told me? Oh, I got some bad news. I'm like, what's the bad news? Well, we reevaluated all these loans that we bought in these packages, and most of these loans were fraudulent loans. And what the F are you talking about, fraudulent? Well, you shouldn't have been given a balloon mortgage. For one, you couldn't afford it, with your income that you showed. And I'm like, well, I knew that. Right, here's the paperwork that I signed. But here's the paperwork that I got from these people. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the old mortgage or the new mortgage. But my rent keeps going up. And they're saying it's a balloon mortgage. Now tell me, what paperwork did I get? And they pretty much said, you're screwed. It's pretty much what they told me. Pretty much. That's pretty much what they said. There ain't nobody can refinance it. So therefore, you're stuck with the 5-year balloon mortgage. And every so long, I don't know what it was, 6 months or every 8 months or whatever it was, the contract or whatever that I got back, uh, the the rent was going up. And then finally, I just said, screw it, you're not taking this. Well, then there was some kind of a will that I didn't even know about. Some kind of a trust or something. I have no idea. I don't know because I wasn't smart. That was wrapped up with the property. It was a mess. It was a complete mess. And I lost everything with the child support payment, with the house payment, with the property tax, with my hospital stuff. At that time, I didn't have too good of insurance, so everything had to come out of my pocket. In before my operation, and I couldn't even pay for all my operation. And so, do I believe that just one operation, somebody in America can lose everything they got if they don't? Oh, heck yeah. I'm here as a witness. You will lose everything. You will lose everything. And there was nothing I could do. They sent me paperwork saying, we want you to re sign this. Uh, and I was like, I ain't signing nothing without a lawyer this time. Right? They're like, well, there should have been a lawyer or someone that knew at signing. I'm like, I didn't have no lawyer. I didn't have no lawyer there. There might have been a lawyer there, but he was not definitely for me. And it all got mixed up. Now, whether they got the paperwork mixed up after I signed and they said, well, we'll be sending you paperwork in the mail, whatever they sent, I don't know what it was. I thought it was the mortgage that I was paying, right? But then it comes to find out that it's possibly they scammed me. It was a big racket. They would call and drive me nuts. That thing is attacking us again. I think we are onto something here. It's coming from here, from America. So the guy told me that they bought a bunch of loans. Uh, and they reviewed all them loans. It was in a giant mortgage pack. And he said over 50%, if not more, them mortgages were fraudulent, meaning uh, they wrote up fraudulent stuff, right? Now, I don't know if that's true, but that's what they told me. Now, did I go in? Hey, listen, I even took this to this town guy up in town here, Webb, whatever his last name was, Webb or whatever, district attorney or whatever in LaGrange here in town. I walked right into his office with all my paperwork and I said, I'm being scammed, dude. And I'm not smart. And if you could please help me, I would appreciate it. I really would appreciate it. But I'm being swindled. And at that time, I just got on disability. They just reevaluated me. All my tests came back. And while I was at work, they called me and said, you've been approved for disability. You got problems. And I was like, well, I knew that. I said, I knew something. I mean, I've been dealing with it my whole life. So I just got on disability. I was just getting a check and I was trying to straighten all this out. And I was off work because of my operation, right? All the stuff they did. And some new kind of experiment surgery where they don't have to open you wide open or something, some kind of scopes or something that was new stuff or whatever. And they saved my life. I'm here today, and I want to thank them for it. No Sherm, the surgeon or doctor down there. Thank you. Right? I'm still alive. I'm not in the greatest shape, but I'm still alive, man. But I lost everything, and it wasn't by my own hands. If it wasn't people calling, driving me absolutely crazy while I was at work, uh, lawyers and all kinds of madness with support, and uh, then this mortgage thing and everything. Like I said, I lost it. I lost my property, not by my own hands. They call it sleight of hand, right? Sleight of hand. They kind of knew that there's no way I would be able to keep up with them payments. I would renege on the loan. They would retake custody of the property, sell it to another chump. Uh, Once they figured out that no one would refinance it because it was too old of a home, when really it wasn't. It was in it, built in the 90s or something. Um, but to these trailer manufactured home places that give loans on them, they only give a loan for a trailer that's so old or whatever. So it was like a racket. And here's the proof. And this was all documented. Let's show this right here. Yeah, I was one of them that got suckered. And I worked so hard to get that. My aunt was passing away. And she didn't want the house. And she's like, I'll sell it to you. I want to sell it to you. And I never owned a house in my life. And I was very proud because at that time I was working. I was paying child support and I was working. And every day was a struggle to get up. And I'm not shitting you. Every day was a struggle to get up. Headaches and literally headaches. When I'm pressured, when you have a concussion, your brain swells. And when you get mad, when things set you off and everything, and then you just, oh my God, the pain is unbelievable. And you don't want to do nothing. You just want to sit and relax, right? And that's about all you can do, right? But let's watch this.
This is an agency that has returned $21 billion to 205 million consumers since it was brought onto this. What does it say that Republicans are attacking this agency?
Let's talk about first how this agency got built, because I think it's actually relevant to all this. So for a long time, we've had a bunch of consumer protection laws, and they were out there, so you don't get cheated on a mortgage, so you don't get cheated on a credit card, so you don't get cheated on your checking account, your student loans, right? But it was spread among a whole bunch of different agencies, and for none of them was it their first job. So what happened is some really smart, sleazy MBAs back in the late 90s, early 2000s figured out we could make a lot of money on mortgages and really cheating people on them. So they did. They made $1 gazillion.
Yeah.
They also built this thing that crashed the entire economy and cost 10 million people their homes, millions of people their jobs, millions of people their savings. So coming out of that, we said, we're going to build this new agency, and it's going to have one job. It's going to gather up all those laws that are supposed to protect you on your credit cards and your student loans. We're going to put it with one agency. We're going to make them the cop on the beat. They are the cop on the beat. Now, if you were making your money by cheating people, you really don't like the cop on the beat.
Exactly. And that's exactly what happened to me. And like I said, I was proud because I had a disability. I knew it my whole life. I knew something wasn't wrong. When I got mad, my brain would swell. I'd get real sick. I'd cry over anything. No shit. No shit. When a girl would reject me or something or not like me, I'm not gonna lie, I'd get so pissed off, so angry. My brain would swell. I get very, very uh, quiet and lock up, and uh, I would go home and I would cry. So angry, I couldn't understand it. My head would be throbbing, boom, 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 boom. Just like it was unreal. Many years I went through like that. Yes, I did start drinking to try and kill the pain. It worked for a little bit, but then it did more hurt than anything. Yes, I used to eat aspirin like it was going out of style uh, to try and kill the pain. I had no idea I had a concussion, uh, and neither did the doctors back when I was a young kid when the accident happened. They sewed up my head. I had a giant gash on my head. Uh, Put me in a cast, and they said, "Get on your way, kid. You'll be fine." I had a big old giant swollen head and uh, stitches on my head and whatever. Oh no, wait! I think they stapled it. I'm not sure. No, they sewed that. I had staples in my appendix, and like I said, I didn't know. I'm not the smartest person when it comes to all this contract stuff, and right because they write these words, I don't understand it, right? But as soon as I took it to somebody that read the paperwork and knew what they were talking about, they were like, "Oh, you're screwed." They were like, if you don't find someone to refinance it, you're going to lose the house. And I explained to him, man, I just got on disability. I got a mental problem. I'm not the smartest dude. I'm tapped out. I took everything I had. Uh, while all this was going on, I was also in the middle of putting addition on the house. Uh, I put a patio, a screened in patio, and a couple bedrooms addition on the house. As all this is going, I was in way too deep. I'm not gonna effing lie. I was in way too deep. Had a couple cars, Z28 and a Trans Am, uh, a truck, a couple dogs, acre and a half of land, and some fruit trees. I was so proud of myself. No one gave me nothing. I worked for it. And just like that, man, my my concussion finally kicked in. And that's why I feel bad for a lot of these fighters um, that have massive hits to the head when they're and I already see a couple of these MMA fighters. I can tell their concussion has kicked in because that's how I was, and that's how I get sometimes. Uh, Slurring of speech, or I can't deal with certain things right away. I got to take a break and think about it, and then I'll uh, try and handle the situation the best I can, or whatever. But everybody thought I was lying, right? You're a liar. You're a liar. You're a liar. And I'm like, I got the paperwork, and I'm going to shove it in your face, and I'm going to prove to you. And then I called the FBI. You're effing right, I did. And I told them exactly what was going on. I'm being swindled out of my house. Right? People are like, yeah, I can't believe you did that. You're right. I'm right, I did. And I also called the White House. Left a message on that machine. Why? Because that's the way I was raised. Am I going to attack anybody? Nope. But I'll voice my opinion. Had family members fight to protect this country. I think it's my right to at least voice my opinion. And I'm not going to lie to you folks. There was sometimes I had to work for cash because I couldn't get a job taking taxes out. Because I wasn't good enough. So, yes, in my young age, I had to work for cash in some of these places. And yes, they came after me. The IRS. That's right. They did. My younger age. That's right. The person I was working for, uh, I guess, claimed to be or whatever, said they paid this much money to these guys, these workers. And the IRS came and contacted me, and I had to pay that money. The IRS don't joke around. That's why when you got a job, pay your taxes. When I worked, I paid my taxes. Now, another thing that was part of this whole mortgage that I signed was property tax. Everything was included in it. It was supposed to be property tax, uh, insurance, whatever. It was all wrapped up into one payment. Right now, a lot of these people, I don't know if it happened to my property, but a lot of these people are saying now the mortgage companies weren't paying the property taxes either. I believe it. Oh, they would call, they would use mob techniques. I'm telling you, it was that bad. Right? It was that bad. They would contact me at work. These people will wreck your life, and they'll do the same thing for child support. These people will call your business every day while you're at work, talking, wanting to talk to you, and you're like, I'm at work right now. Can you call me at a different time? They'll continue to call you. You've got to pay this child support payment. You're going. They wrecked our jobs. Some of our employers were like, "Look, I can't hire no more. These people keep calling you all the time." Right? I'm like, well, what can you do? Right? Mortgage company and everything calling you while you're at work. They'll destroy you. See, back in the old day, there was people that protect you from that. They couldn't do that shit. You can't harass somebody at their job. Right? They're trying to make money so they can have something, pay for the house, whatever. They're having hard times. Them laws are all gone, folks. And that's what us citizens are worried about, that these people will wake up one day and there'll be laws that protect all of them, their banks, their businesses, their whole society, and there'll be nothing to protect the working man and the American citizen. So I agree 100% with some of these people. It's a bunch of foobar. They went as far to say I was completely crazy and everything I said was made up. until I went to the district attorney and all these people and showed them the paperwork. I'm like, I don't know if this is the paperwork I'm supposed to have or if this is someone else's mortgage or if this is the old mortgage. Here's the paperwork I signed. Here's what I got in the mail. What is what? Can you please help me figure this out? By the time they got around to figuring it out, they're like, "You're screwed. It's a balloon mortgage. It's gonna go up. There ain't no way you're gonna be able to pay for it. You're gonna have to pay for this for 5 years. Then we might consider on refinancing it, but you ain't gonna find nobody to refinance it because all of them uh, pre-manufactured home mortgage companies went out of business because the banks were not mortgaging at that time. Loan, it was like a catch-22. It was the perfect storm. So do I believe what these people are saying and what some of these, yeah, they got rid of all them programs that protected us. Hell, just to get on Medicaid, Medicare, I had to get rid of everything. I had to get rid of my cars. I had to get rid of my truck. I had to get rid of everything. Couldn't have nothing in my name to get on their program, Medicaid, Medicare. They were actually telling people if you do own something, put it in other people's name. I'm like, what? That's like, why am I breaking that? That was that. They were like, you can't have nothing. No money in the bank, no possessions of nothing. You can have a car, that's it. And if you got more than one car, you best put it in someone else's name. I'm like, you can't. What the hell is going on here? All for insurance? For Medicaid, Medicare, or whatever it is, disability or whatever. I had to lose what I did have just to be on your program that you don't pay anything anyways. And then to top it off, to use my Medicaid and Medicare, who knows who's getting operations and sets of teeth, eyeglasses. I'm effing going blind. And these people they're like, oh, they're probably scamming you out of this and that. I wouldn't doubt it. Now I should have shut my mouth because I can feel that thing attacking me again. And I am going to shut my mouth. There you go, folks. Yeah, I called people. Yeah, I called the FBI, gave them my opinion, let them know I was being ripped off. Yeah, I called the White House, left a message on there too. Yeah, I got scammed. Yeah, there was a bunch of people. It was a big bank fraud. Even the banks knew it was a fraud. Now they've had plenty of time to get rid of all my paperwork, but I got my copies of paperwork locked up somewhere. Right? They were giving me shit and everything. They thought I was that dumb. I don't throw anything away. I got paperwork. I got boxes of it. I got folders and folders of paperwork just for this. Because I know the people that came before me were like, "Oh, you keep that paperwork." Because one day you'll wake up and they'll say, "Oh, no, you ain't got it. Here it is." And that's what I did. I took my mortgage right down to them. I got the paperwork and I got it locked up. The proof. Right? And I'm dumb, but I ain't that dumb. So is this all true that these people are saying? Yeah, it sure is. Is Bernie Sanders telling the truth? Sure he is. We all, every day, if they can make $1 off you, if they can rip you off, you bet your ass they're going to. Why? Well, because they know you ain't rich. They know you ain't got money to get a lawyer to go into court for 5 years to get it figured out or whatever. What do? I took my losses and walked away. What really happened? The police came there with a packet and said, "You best be off the property or we're going to arrest you." They came there with some thing saying, "You no longer own the property," and this and that and this and that. And I was like, oh, man. They sent some sheriff. Now, whether it was legal or not, I have no idea. From what we found out, none of it was real. They were hiring cops to deliver paperwork and stuff, right? Yeah, this is going to open up into a big can of worms and everything. Oh, yeah, they were threatening all kinds of shit. I was like, man. And here I am, one man. And even my own family was against me then. Right? Let me tell you something. Once they label you as having a disability, your whole life, everything you say is made up. And that's no shit. Could we have saved a lot of people around here? Yes. Were they being attacked? They were. Did they not listen to us? They surely didn't. What was their thing? Take your medicine. You got problems. Last thing my grandpappy said to me before he died was, "There ain't nothing changed, kid. We're all slaves." By shit, we are. So, there you go. Do I believe what the rest of these people now are saying in 2024 and 23 that they were scammed and yada, yada, yada? Sure, I believe it. Was it by their own hands? No. Some of them were drove out of their homes deliberately. If they weren't put on a list to be called every second of the day, literally driving them nuts. Literally. That's no joke. Psychological games. Yeah, they probably pushed them right out of their house. We're finding gangs doing that now, folks. Gangs coming in, taking over whole apartment complexes. Gangs coming in and killing people that live in the house, and they take over the house. And they just continue to make the payments. Yeah, it's crazy. So there you go, folks. Do I believe that what these people are saying? I sure do. I sure do believe it. So yes, I am one of them people in the late 90s, 2000s that got taken. Nothing I could do about it. Right? I took all my toys and moved out. Right? When they're threatening to arrest you or whatever, if you don't evacuate your property and take all your stuff off of it. Yeah. And this is exactly what this lady is talking about. And real quick before I end this video, let's listen to what she said one more time. And this was a big giant investigation, and it came out to be true. It was true.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So we are right now witnessing the all-out assault against the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. This is an agency that has returned $21 billion to 205 million consumers since it was brought onto the scene. What does it say that Republicans are attacking this agency?
Let's talk about first how this agency got built, because I think it's actually relevant to all this. So for a long time, we've had a bunch of consumer protection laws, and they were out there, so you don't get cheated on a mortgage, so you don't get cheated on a credit card, so you don't get cheated on your checking account, your student loans, right? But it was spread among a whole bunch of different agencies, and for none of them was it their first job. So what happened is some really smart, sleazy MBAs back in the late 90s, early 2000s figured out we could make a lot of money on mortgages and really cheating people on them. So they did. I mean, they made a gazillion dollars.
Yeah.
They also built this thing that crashed the entire economy and cost 10 million people their homes, millions of people their jobs, millions of people their savings. So coming out of that, we said, we're going to build this new agency and it's going to have.
And there you go. That's what happened to me. That's why I went on my quest. That's why I did the things I did. Because I'll be danged if my family had to suffer for this country, for others to live, as you take from a disabled person that at that time was vulnerable and in a bind. So, yes, I believe what they're saying. Now, my fight is over with. I didn't hurt anybody, I didn't do anything but voice my opinion and call certain branches. And I'm sure you folks would do the same if you were losing everything in your world and your health. As your children watched and made fun of all the stuff and all the people. I can't believe the world and the country we live in. You are supposed to help out old people, no matter if you argued with them, fought with them, whatever. And I'm not going to lie, my family fights all the time, but we still help each other out. Can't probably stand each other, but family's thicker than blood. But in today's world, family don't mean nothing anymore. The whole system, morals, integrity, everything broke down. Hell, today, the country we live in, if these brothers and sisters can make a buck off of these people, they probably would make a buck off their own family. You folks have a great night. Now, I'm not the only one that suffered. I'm not the only one that lost. Over 10 million people lost their homes, all their money, their cars, their whole life. And it wasn't by their own hands. It was already planned before you signed the mortgage. You folks have a great night. I believe in God, family, and country. And here I'm sitting watching it all go. We can only pray to God. But that's not a lie. That is the truth. And yes, I got the receipts, Jack. You folks have a good night.